You've been listening to Elemental Energies with Chris Ann and Jeff on Pagan Business Network Radio. Energetic protection. Exactly. Yeah, we're not talking about, guns and knives
and anything like that. So, my deal about protection there are just multitudes of ways to protect.
I agree.
What are some of your favorites?
Okay, well, I have a list. Yes, okay. So I'll start, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Ladies first,
Absolutely.
So I'm going to start with some of the basic protection things, and we'll work up. So as witches, we all love the salt across the doorway. That's a lovely form of protection. And then you sort of put the intent and empower energetically into the salt, saying that anybody that wishes you ill cannot cross. Mm-hmm. So you can use the black salt. I've used the white salt for that. However that works for you. But on an everyday sort of thing, I like sage. So I use sage in multiple forms. I use sage as a sage bundle. If I'm going to be doing a large home or large property, I like to clear it, protect it with the sage. Clearing to me is a form of protecting.
Yep.
I also like to make my own sage in a sage spray. And my recipe for sage spray is I like to get a spray bottle, an empty spray bottle. So you can get that at any drugstore, department store, in the beauty aisle. You can get a clear spray bottle. If you're able to get glass, that's a little bit better.
Yeah.
So I like to use moon water in all of my things. I resonate very well with the moon. I'm kind of the moon goddess.
Chakra water would work well for that too.
Yeah, chakra water would work well. So let me explain what moon water is, and then let me explain what chakra water is. So moon water is, during the full moon overnight, I like to take a mason jar or different containers of water. I line them up actually on my steps outside my house, whether it's summer, winter, I'm with all this water on my steps, and
winter you have moon ice.
I do, so I accommodate for how much I put in the bottle to make sure that it's not freezing and cracking the bottle.
Right.
Yeah, so I accommodate for that. And sometimes I put it inside of my windowsill. So anyways, I leave the water in the full moon light overnight. Bring it in the next morning. It is charged by the light of the full moon. That's what I use in a lot of my spells. And you, I know, like to use the chakra water, which is the chakra glass coaster that I made that actually we sell in the shop and on the website. And the website is www.chrisann-jeff.com. So if you go there and you look at Reiki-infused items, you'll see different forms of the chakra coasters that I've created. And those, as I'm cutting the glass, I'm Reikiing it. As I'm putting the glass in the kiln to fire it, I'm Reikiing it. When it comes out and I'm cleaning it, I'm Reikiing. I'm always Reikiing everything that I make. So what you do is you take that coaster. This was your brilliant idea, because I just intended the coaster to be, you put your glass on it, and it Reiki charges, balances your chakras into that glass. But you actually took a Brita filter pitcher.
Correct.
And it perfectly fits in the bottom of that pitcher.
Absolutely.
It was really neat that you figured it out.
It charges the entire pitcher.
It does.
And the longer so what I do is I gradually add water in so it stays at a high charge continually.
Right, and that's what we drink here at the shop, and anybody that comes into the shop, we offer that to them to drink. But anyways, so you can use that, or you can use the moon water. So what I do is I take the empty container, I put a little bit of the water in first, and then what I like to do is I take my essential oils, and I'm using pure therapeutic grade essential oils. And I happen to use doTERRA. That's what we sell here at the shop. That's what my preference is. There are many other wonderful brands out there. So I add clary sage. And that is the sage essential oil that I like to use. So depending on the size of my container, I am adding anywhere from 3, 10, 12 drops. Use your judgment. So I also like to add in a little bit of cedarwood essential oil and a little bit of lavender essential oil.
That smells good.
It does. I have some right here in the office. So then I like to take and fill it up the rest of the way with the moon water or the chakra water. And I also add a crystal into the container. Number one, I love the infusion of the energy of the crystals. And number two, as I shake the bottle, it's helping mix everything together.
That's a good point.
And some people like to use a little drop of alcohol in theirs. I don't. They think it preserves it. Witch hazel sometimes can preserve it. I don't. We're allergic to some of these things, so we don't, just to be energy-wise safe.
You don't need to mix up that much at one time?
No, and we go through enough of it that we're constantly reusing the container. Right. So as I spray that around, it very much like I am using a sage bundle. So I'm going over my head with the sage bundle with the smoke. Same thing with the spray. I'm spraying over my head. I'm spraying down one arm, under the arm, back up across my chest, down the opposite arm, under that hand, back up, down the front of me, then the back of me, and under each foot. So that's how I clear and protect myself, and the same thing for the building. So when I do a massive clear and protect on a building, I'm doing the entire building, inside and out. And, I joke that I do this at least once a year in my neighborhood, and I live on a private dirt road where not many people see me, and all the ones that are there know me, and, they all know I'm out of the broom closet. So I just wave at everybody. I have this huge, massive smudge stick smudging my entire house. So that is my form of protection when I'm done smudging. So, you can also use an incense stick.
Yep.
For smudging. But when I'm done smudging, I like to take my instruments and then go back in and give a higher vibration. So I have a Native American style drum that I made 20 plus years ago, and that's great for bass chakra balancing and stuff. But I also have all the singing bowls, and I love my singing bowls because they bring in a very high vibration. Yep. So I love to come in and do that energy-wise. I've got a couple others I do, but go ahead. I'll let you speak.
Thank you. So I do all that type of cleansing as well. Mm-hmm. And protection. I also find that I have a way, once I do a cleansing for protection of, say, a building like a shop, what I do is I have sigils that I use that I've developed. One in particular that's my favorite is a bind rune. I use the Elderfall Dark runes, and this particular rune is Thursaw.
And what does it look like?
Well, it is a branch with a thorn, so it's a straight line with a sharp bump, if you will, a sharp point in the middle of it. So it looks like if you were to cut a section of a rose stem with the thorn on it, a little bit above and the equal space down below, that's what Thursaw looks like. So when I do a bind rune, I combined 3 of these with their points outward in a pyramid type shape.
Cool.
And then in the center, because I'm eclectic, I put the Eye of Ra. And what this symbolizes in the sigil is ever vigilant protection. So, and if you know anything about runes, you know that the power of Thor is all over this baby. So, and I found it quite effective. Actually, when I do the sigil, I put the intention in on the 4 corners of the building that anyone that is coming to our place with ill intent or with negativity, as soon as they cross the threshold, they will feel unwelcome and they'll depart.
Right.
And it works.
It does. We have a very high vibration here at the shop, and we're thrilled that we get really like-minded people or curious people that are really open-minded.
Well, the thing is, though, it doesn't just work on some. It works on all of them, because we had a gentleman come in, pagan, and he loved our shop. So excited that we were here. And he's like, I got to bring my wife in.
Yeah.
Well, he brought his wife in. She hit the door, turned around, and walked back.
Oh, isn't that something?
She had, he is his vibration is much higher than hers. He is very, very open, very open-hearted, very generous. Mm-hmm. He had his son with him when he first came as well, and very close to his son. Mm-hmm. His wife, not so much. So as soon as she crossed the threshold, she was here for probably about 45 seconds.
Really?
Then turned around and went back out.
Well, I told you about my new boyfriend that stopped by last week, right? Wink, wink, boyfriend. Yes, this man that lives right down the street from us.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
stopped by, he sat down, he gave me his entire life story. He was such a draw, and he wants to come back and give me the rest of his life story.
Wonderful.
He has absolutely no clue about anything here in the shop, but he's so open-minded, and he appreciated the fact that we were so welcoming. And, he gave me a hug and a kiss when he left. I think he's
How old is he?
Mid to late 70s, early 80s.
So I don't have any worries. Okay. So.
Yeah, my new boyfriend hit it.
Yeah.
So getting back to protection.
Protection, yes. Okay, so another form
of... used it that day. I'm kidding.
Yeah, really. Well, if he's open-minded, maybe he'll be open-minded
he was a nice guy.
Find his path.
Right, yeah, no, he was a great guy. He was very, very curious, and you know what? I appreciate the fact that he had courage to come in, and I think that's wonderful.
So I would like to touch on the subject of protection for empaths, because many of us that are on this path, we care about so many people.
I know.
And part of the reason why is because we're empathic.
Right.
So
what does empathic mean?
Well, okay. Sorry, so empathic, basically, it means if you're empathic, you are able to sense other people's emotions, other people's feelings, and so when you do so, oftentimes they influence your feelings. You're drawn to people and you feel a need to help them. And, I'm sure that many of you have run into people that you've wanted to help, you felt drawn to help.
Right.
And anytime you're around them, you're bringing their emotions into yourself. Problem is, you don't really help them because they're people that, continually need help.
Yeah.
So basically, you have to learn how to protect yourself from other people's emotions. A lot of people project just incredible amounts of emotions.
I agree.
So one of the things I like to do is I have developed a form of guided meditation where I help people center themselves and build a wall of protection around their gifts so they aren't susceptible to other people's emotions.
Good.
So I call it centering meditation and empathic defense.
Yes.
Naturally.
Right.
So.
Well, I have some other very basic forms of protection.
Okay, you want to turn then?
Yeah, I'll have a turn.
Okay, go ahead.
So being Armenian, I grew up in a very traditional Armenian family, and we had the evil eye. So you could use the evil eye all around. So the evil eye is sort of this blue eye with this white and black center. So actually, I make those out of glass too, and I have those in my bedroom, in my son's bedroom, and you can wear it as a piece of jewelry, and it's just thought to be a protection, to keep away evil.
Cool.
But also, another thing that I like to tell a lot of my clients is to wear a mirror as a form of protection.
Oh, that's a good point.
So there's a couple different ways you can do this. You can actually get a small mirror and create like a necklace or something around it, or if you do clay work or polymer clay work, you can get a small little piece of mirror at the craft store, or maybe you can cut glass and cut a piece of mirror that you can buy at the hardware store or whatever. So they sell them plastic and they sell them glass. So you can get a plastic little piece of mirror as well. Mm-hmm. So you incorporate that into a necklace. So if people are having negativity around you, it's like that adage, whatever you say, bounces off of me and sticks back onto you. That's what the mirror does. It reflects it back to them.
That's good.
If you don't have the actual mirror, you can still do it energetically. So I have kind of quote-unquote installed an energetic mirror, both in my front and in my back. So it is a form of protection that is always there protecting me against different energy or just keeping me within my highest and best good.
Wonderful.
Another way that we like to do protection is we make smudge sticks here.
We do indeed.
We talked about smudge sticks earlier, but in our smudge sticks, we use sage, lavender, rosemary, and roses. Yep. So as we're clearing, protecting, we're putting love back in. So we're kind of doing it all at once, which is kind of more bang for your buck kind of thing.
Yep, all purpose.
Yeah, it is all purpose. So go ahead. What other forms of protection do you have?
Oh, let's see. Well, you mentioned the salt. What I like to do is I actually have special salt, and I add my essential oil to it. I do a blend called Pro Clean.
Yes.
So this specific oil is a combination of frankincense, myrrh, and a white sage oil that I make myself. And so it's not only protective, but it's also cleansing.
Yes.
And actually, I use it like smelling salts, if you will.
Right.
Whenever I have just an incredible amount of stress hit me, or if somebody's emotions are coming through too strong, and they're actually projecting onto me their negativity, their hate, whatever their problem is, I carry around a little, if you will, a little bottle of this stuff.
Right, yeah, you wear it. Yeah.
I put a drop on my finger, and I put it right underneath the center of my nose. So the frankincense and the myrrh and the white sage work together, and when I inhale this, the smell of it just immediately clears my head and brings me back to my center.
Cool. Okay.
So I mix it with salt as well, so I can put it, anywhere I need to.
Or I can always chuck it at them.
Yeah.
I carry a stick.
Yeah. Let me get my wrist rocket with some kosher salt, right?
I don't walk softly, and I carry a big stick. Yeah. There's my form of protection. But you know what? I think another form of protection is kind of in your attitude as well.
It is. Absolutely.
If you are going to invite negativity in, unfortunately, like attracts like. So if you can maintain of your highest and best good, cut away what is not serving, what you don't need, what is not there for you, so you can do some energetic cutting. That is a huge form of protection by not allowing others to drag you down and taking control and just saying, you know what, no. And you can do that by connecting with Archangel Michael and calling in Archangel Michael to use his sword to not only cut what is not serving your highest and best good, but to cauterize it. So it doesn't come back in this lifetime and in any future lifetime. So make sure when you're doing your little incarnation for Archangel Michael, you're speaking about all past lives, present life, and any future lives on a soul level so that it can be cleared.
Well, and to go along with that, even though it's easier said than done, if somebody responds to you in a negative fashion, if you can respond in a positive fashion, then it will cancel it out, and sometimes it'll shock them and wake them up.
Well, sometimes it is, and we are all humans living in a human experience here, and that's easier said than done. I know. I had an IEP meeting today at the school. I just wanted to take my stick and whack a few people over the head with it. But I sat back and I let them sink themselves. So, there's something to be said for holding my tongue, which that doesn't happen often.
No. Well, that's okay. Sometimes things need to be said.
Right, and you know what? For once, I sat back and I held my tongue, because by me engaging in that negativity was just dragging me down. And I don't need that migraine.
Right. So another form of self-protection is communication.
Right.
Because if you feel strong enough about something, about the way you're being treated, or about somebody's attitude, or whatever, it is a form of protection to not confront them, but to try and communicate your feelings to them. And I'll tell you why.
You do that better than I do.
Well,
and I'm thinking very specifically and very recently. But go ahead.
But it's kind of a have-to thing for your own self-esteem, for your own self-love.
I'm not the type that likes confrontation.
Right. Well, I'm okay with confrontation.
I know you are.
But anyway.
But you're taller than I am. You're a bigger guy than I am.
Yeah, but
you've got a deeper voice. And you're male. And I think men are looked at a little bit differently, even still. Not that I think it's okay, but it's a reality.
That may be true. But the truth of the matter is, oftentimes if you need to bring something out because you don't want to bury it, because it'll tear you down, it'll bring your self-esteem down. A lot of times, if you just approach it with, this is how this makes me feel, not blame them for anything, just say, well, when I hear that, this makes me feel thus and so.
Yeah, I'm learning that in my path.
Yeah, well,
I've gotten to the point that I flat out tell people what I think about them now.
I should have used, actually, I did use that
I know you did.
On my new boss.
Yeah.
The last time that he was behaving poorly.
Yeah.
I told him, well, the way this is happening, this is how it makes me feel. When you say these things, this is how I feel.
Right.
And it worked out well.
Wonderful.
I mean, he even confessed that, he had no idea. He doesn't feel anything.
Right.
He doesn't, literally, he told me, he doesn't feel anything. He, just behaves the way he behaves, and, even his own daughters tell him what a person he is, yes.
Well, I think as a mom, it's important to set a good standard of using appropriate words. And,
oh, yeah, I've heard you do that.
I'm very appropriate in the situation.
Yeah.
That's okay. My voice is my weapon. But that's all right. But, I do take my role quite seriously. But, another form of protection that I like to use are crystals.
Oh, yes.
Whether I'm using them as energetic beings or I'm using them to chuck them, which I don't like to chuck my crystals. But, another way that I like to use, so I'm going to go through some specific crystals. So a crystal that I like to use is smoky quartz. That is a great way to get rid of what is not serving my highest and best good. And I like to carry smoky quartz when it's something that I want to get rid of. I like to put smoky quartz on my right hand side, and on my right hand side I can get rid of whatever isn't serving my highest and best good. So smoky quartz is a stone that can get rid of a lot of things that we don't need. It's a detoxer. It's a get rid of stone. It's great. It's a great stone. So it doesn't matter if you have smoky quartz in a point or if you have smoky quartz in tumbled. They all work the same.
It's all the same vibration.
It is. If I have somebody on the Reiki table, I am using points, smoky quartz points, and I am directing them away from the body. I'm using the natural point and putting that away. And that, to me, is an easy way to do it. So you know what? I think we're going to take a little bit of a commercial break right here. When we come back, we've got a lot more crystals that we're going to talk about and a lot more other things that are great ways for protection on an energetic level.
Yep.
So don't go anywhere. You've been listening to Elemental Energies with Chris Ann and Jeff on Pagan Business Network Radio. We'll be right back.
The Magic Jukebox Podcast presents Caldera Fest Pagan Music Festival, May 26th through May 30th in Lafayette, Georgia. This event will feature the best in pagan music and over 100 vendors and workshops. Featuring Tuatha Day, Dave the Bard, S.J. Tucker, Wendy Rule, Digis Christ Superdrum, Dragon Ritual Drummers, and many more. Also featuring the official release of the Green Album. This eclectic compilation of thoughts and sounds will feature various acts performing at Caldera Fest, benefiting the Rainforest Trust. Come on out and have the time of your life. Caldera Fest Pagan Music Festival, May 26th through 30th at Cherokee Farms in Lafayette, Georgia. For more information, visit calderafest.com today. See you there.
This is a message from Hawthorne at Magic in Your Living Room. The Etsy shop includes ritual programs and gorgeous altar cloths. We feature ready-to-use rituals for only $3 or less. You get step-by-step instructions, including a list of necessary items, how to set up the altar, and a complete program for all ritual activity. We also have beautiful altar cloths for all holidays. Magic in Your Living Room is located at Etsy at www.etsy.com/shop/magic in living room or at www.magicinyourlivingroom.com.
The Pagan Business Network Radio. Welcome back as we continue our conversation about protection on an energetic level. So we had started talking about some crystals for protection.
You had mentioned
Yes, I like smoky quartz. Smoky quartz is one of the ones that I like. But also, amethyst is a great stone for protection. Emerald calcite is a great stone for protection. Chrysoprase is a great stone for protection. Black tourmaline is a huge, unbelievably wonderful stone for protection. Black tourmaline is one of the stones that is mined here in the lovely state of Maine. Amethyst is also mined here, and smoky quartz is also mined here in Maine. I like to use stones that are mined in this state when I'm doing my energy work.
right.
So we do have some amethyst here in the shop that was mined in Maine. We have some smoky quartz here in the shop that was mined in Maine. And we have black tourmaline that's, of course, mined in Maine because it's wonderful tourmalines. But black tourmaline is a really great stone to use for protection. And that's a good one to use in your home. You can put a piece of black tourmaline in the 4 far corners or however many far corners you have of your house. And black tourmaline is great for sort of doing that grid of protection. And also jet is a wonderful stone to use. All of these we do have available now in the shop if anybody's interested. They may not all be on the website. The website right now only has tumbled. So if there's something else that you're interested in, we have specific specimens that are one-of-a-kind pieces that aren't on the website. So just contact us. And that's at www.chrisann-jeff.com. So those are the stones that I like to use for protection. When I'm doing my stones for protection, I don't just like to have protection stones. I kind of like to bundle it with other stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So I might add in a rose quartz for love, or a morganite for divine love, or combine it with an amethyst, or whatever. maybe I'm going to add in a citrine for abundance. So whatever the case may be, I'm not just sticking that one stone there. But you can also bury the stones. You can bury the stones outside your front and back door. You can bury the stones all around the perimeter of your property in the far corners, however that is.
Yep.
And the old wives' tales were to bury coins as well as protection.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I am a stone gal. So, I like to rock and roll with my crystals.
So, being half Italian, garlic is also a wonderful thing, too.
Against those vampires, huh?
Yeah, well.
But the energetic vampires. So, I mean, that's something to be taken seriously. Maybe it's not necessarily garlic, but go ahead. Yeah.
The reason why I mentioned it is there are a lot of herbs.
Yes.
That are protective as well.
Yeah.
So, especially in the springtime, scattering the fresh herb flowers, the lavender and such around.
Right, around your property. Exactly.
Around the entrance to your home, your business.
Right. Yeah, so a great one to use, let's see. I have my list in the other room of ones that I use for protection. Acacia is a great one to use for protection. And let's see, I'm kind of going through my list. And of course, I always use sage. Sage for me is just, it's so wonderful. It's easily accessible. Sage, doesn't matter what country you're in, whether you get the plant or you get the essential oil.
There was some wood that you gave me too.
Yeah, the Palo Santo wood.
Right.
So I like that wood. We have that here in the shop as well. So the Palo Santo tree is in I think it's the Midwest. It's from the area where you're from. It's from out there somewhere.
Oh, okay.
And
it's, I know they have them in Arizona.
A really specific tree. Right. So people use pieces of the wood and you light it and blow it out like an incense. Uh-huh. And I think it has a lovely smell. I like the smell. I know you don't care for it like I do. No, it irks you.
I like the smell of white sage.
I know you do.
That's my favorite.
I like this, but being from a place that I live in the woods, I like wood. That doesn't bother me. I like that smell. So, there's a lot of different ways that you can protect yourself. Another way that I like to protect myself, and I do this when there's a bad thunderstorm or a bad storm here in the winter, because we're in Maine, we get bad storms here in the winter at times. I like to do an energetic bubble around the house. And I'm not just doing that to my house, I'm doing that to my shop, I'm doing that to my parents' house, I'm doing it to my car, my friend's house. I sort of put this bubble force field around the house, the property, and I'll just say, allow that to be protective, allow that to be what it needs to be to protect the property, to protect those that are in it. So this energetic bubble I can put around my son when I send him to school. I can put it around your truck when you're driving off to go to work. I just do this energetic bubble. So think of this bubble. So I'm going to use my son as an example. So if I'm creating this energetic bubble of protection around my son, what can you fill that bubble with? So I want to fill that bubble with love. So I'm putting a little bit of pink light in it. I want to fill it with healing, so I'm doing a little bit of blue light in it. And of course, I always want to bring in some of the higher intuitive things for him so he can use his wonderful judgment. So I'm adding in some purple, but I'm protecting the whole thing with white. Pure white divine energy. And you can add yellow for happiness and red for passion or grounding or orange for creativity or green for heart and such wonderful things. Think of what it is that you need. So blue is good for throat chakra, but it's also good for healing. Think of what you want to add into your bubble. So this energetic bubble, I'm not only putting it around one part, I am completely sealing him in the bubble.
Awesome.
Another way I like to use protection, and this is a great way to do things if you are an empath and you are going into a large psychic fair, or you're going in to take a class, or whatever it is, there's lots of people, or you're doing energy work on somebody. I like to zip up in the blue cloak. So there's a blue cloak that covers your feet. You can zip the blue cloak, completely be covered in it. So it's like those feety pajamas. That's how I envision it. I love feet pajamas. So, and then it has the hood that even comes down over your face. So you are completely zipping yourself in this blue cloak of protection. And, you know, you're still clear to see because it's an energetic cloak. Right. So that's a great energetic way as well. Any other suggestions that you have?
Well, you know, we've talked about the metaphysical protection. Mm-hmm. We've talked on emotional protection. Mm-hmm. You know, there are a lot of things that you can do for psyche protection, for peace of mind for yourself as well, such as you started studying Tai Chi.
Right.
With a good friend of ours.
Right. I'm restudying Tai Chi.
Tai Chi.
I did Tai Chi almost 25 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was when I first started. Yeah. I do it almost every day.
Wow.
The original form that I learned. Yeah. Yeah. It kind of balances me. I mean, I'm kind of a kooky person. But it kind of balances me. It gives me a little bit more balance back into my life on a physical level as well as an emotional level. Cool. You know, my legs aren't always stable. So for me to be able to do that, and I do a little bit of yoga. There's a specific yoga flow that I like to do. But I do that. The yoga flow I do every week. A few times a week. Not every day. But the Tai Chi, I do try and do that every day.
That's good. Have you found that, well, I know that you do it for the physical aspect, but have you found that it helps you psychologically as well?
Yes. Yes.
Good.
We've had a bad day at the house for whatever reason. The dogs are on my nerves, and my son's had a bad day or whatever. Yeah, I kind of go in the kitchen and do my yoga or lock myself in the bathroom and do Tai Chi.
Well, you know, the centering meditation that I do is one form of meditation that I learned through studying martial arts.
Oh, cool. Nice.
So I've used that for a long time.
Nice. Yeah, we won't date ourselves, will we?
I was drawing the line there.
Well, I said 25 years.
Yeah. Well, I've been doing
when I was 2, you know.
my centering meditation for quite a bit longer.
Yeah, much longer than that. Right. Yeah. Yeah, I'd had a physical issue that came on 25 years ago, and my friend really wanted to go and do yoga and Tai Chi, and she had similar health problems, so we both went and decided we'd try yoga and Tai Chi together, separate classes.
Awesome.
Yeah, I never really took to yoga at the time. I get it more now. Yeah.
I don't think that I could really get into
yoga. Oh, you could. No. You definitely could. Yeah, because it's like a form of moving meditation, much like Tai Chi. And then you get some good music going, and then you can get your groove going.
Okay.
It's good. Yeah, we need to get somebody here come to the shop to teach yoga. That's what I'm manifesting. Yoga in the grass outside would be awesome.
Well, I do know somebody.
Yes, so we've had a couple people stop in. I've put the bug in their ear.
Cool.
Yeah. So when it comes to protecting, I think we need to be able to protect ourselves before we are able to protect everybody else.
Right.
Like our loved ones. So we need to be grounded enough. Of course, if you listen to our show before, you know I'm really not a grounded person. I'm very airy-fairy.
You call them the fairies with the bow.
I do. I'm riding around on my flying unicorn, my Pegasus. We're good. My dragon and I go wonderful places. So, you know, you can energetically call in your elementals. You know, I work with the elementals. That's why our business is called Elemental Energies with Chris,
Yep.
Ann, and Jeff. That's the name of our business. Because I work with the elementals. I know you work with the elementals too.
I do.
But you know,
But I work with elements as well.
right, I know
as
you do too.
elementals.
I do as well.
Yeah.
I do as well. And being an Aries, I'm quite fiery at times. So that's why it's great that I call in my dragon when I need the dragon to take care of things that, you know.
Yeah, I do know.
Like IEP meetings.
Yep.
Going to the school and dealing with that stuff.
Yep.
So I know my limitations. I know I'm realistic. So bringing in protection is as much for me as it is for them sometimes.
So sometimes the best form of protection
Mhm.
is to avoid the conflict.
I agree with that.
And, just because you're avoiding it doesn't have any negative connotations.
I get that.
It's just that, if you avoid the conflict, then
Right.
you don't have to deal with the negativity.
Sometimes I can't always avoid the conflict
I know.
because it comes
Well,
to me in the form
sometimes
of
I
school
can't
IEP
either.
meetings. Right.
Unfortunately, sometimes
Right. I get it.
I bring it on.
Well, but you know what? We're realistic.
Right.
We are giving you some tools and
Correct.
techniques that we use that have worked for us. There's another form of protection that you like to do when you go in and you cleanse property.
Oh, absolutely.
You do it very differently than I do. So tell us about how you do that, because that's a form of protection as well.
Oh, yeah. When somebody calls me in to do a home cleansing or business cleansing, I do something that was taught to me by a very unsavory character, if you will. But anyway.
But it had a very good outcome.
It did. It
Yeah.
did. In regards to this, basically what I do is I take a cast iron skillet. It doesn't have to be a super heavy one.
Yeah.
They're all pretty heavy, but
Right.
I use a small one now. I was using a bigger one, but man, the big cleansings were painful.
Right, because you're carrying this.
Right.
Right.
You have to carry it, and you have to put Epsom salt in the bottom,
Yes.
and then you put just enough, 90% rubbing alcohol over the top of this, just enough to cover it. It's going to cause a flame.
Yep.
So you have to be adept at walking backwards unless you enjoy walking into flame. So anyway, what you're doing, and you can actually see results as you do it.
Yeah.
The
It's neat.
flame and the salt will attract negativity. It will attract energy beings.
Yes.
And they are attracted to the flame, they're attracted to the salt. They're trapped.
Right.
Once they're in, the salt traps them in. And you can actually see them go in. All of a sudden,
Cool.
the flame will shoot up.
Yes. Cool.
And then it'll drop back down, if you're lucky. If it's a really powerful energy being
Yes.
that does not want to leave
Yeah.
and is fighting, then that thing the flame's going to stay high.
Yeah.
And that means that you better increase your cleansing expeditionally.
And your protection of yourself personally while you're doing this.
Right, but you have to be done with your cleansing before the flame goes out.
Right.
Because once the flame goes out, it releases them.
Yeah.
So you have to get your cleansing done by the time the flame goes out. You have to walk out
Yep.
the door and put up a barrier
Right.
between the door. Okay,
An energetic
so we need
barrier.
to talk about that too.
Sure. Go ahead.
So here's the thing. When you do have a situation where you have to go in for a cleansing of a building or a property, those attachments, those energy beings that are bringing that negativity were invited in.
Yes.
They cannot just enter without entering being attached to someone,
Right. Or the land.
or the land, or being invited in.
Right.
They just can't go in willy-nilly.
Right.
So once you have them out and you put up that block, they can't go back in.
Yeah.
Not unless you bring them in.
Right.
So whenever I cleanse a property, I also want to cleanse the residents
Right. That's what I do too.
as well.
I do the human as well as the animal.
Now there was one cleansing I did, and actually it was the most dramatic one that
Yes.
I've done as well, and it was one of the first ones I did. So I got invited into this house in Arizona when I lived there, and the woman that reached out to me did so because I was doing a fair. But she came to me and she said that her children were waking up screaming,
Oh.
and that her daughter would wake up and would actually have scratches across her back.
Yes.
And not caused by her brother,
No, I
might
get it.
add.
I get it. Yeah.
But and the kids would see things.
Yeah.
And she actually caught a glimpse of it one time as well. So anyway, when I came and did this cleansing, I did it just as I always do, but then there was more. I felt a vortex in the house.
Cool.
And I used my pendulum to track down the vortex, and it turned out that in their pantry, their house was built over somebody's grave.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen that before.
And, you know, obviously the home builder didn't know.
Right.
Otherwise there would have been a big scandal.
Right.
It was a single grave, but, you know, way back when, they didn't use grave markers,
Right.
and if they did, they were just temporary.
Right.
So this home had been built over a grave.
Yeah.
And so I ended up having to close the vortex.
Right.
And then I went out to my truck, and I got my bottle of gold paint and my jar of Pro Clean,
Yeah.
and I mixed gold paint with the Pro Clean,
Yeah.
and I painted my protective sigil right on the tile of their pantry floor,
Right.
locking that down.
Right. Right.
So that sometimes that's necessary,
Yeah.
but generally speaking, the Epsom salt and alcohol burn just really works very well. You can feel the effects after. You feel a crispness, a very energetic crispness and clean to the feel of the place once it's cleansed.
So I like what you do when you're done one of the clearings and cleansings. So here at our property, what do you do when you're done spell work for somebody or protection work for somebody? You go and bury it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And, you know, I get all these folks contacting me that you can't release a curse off somebody. You can't take a curse off somebody.
Yeah, baloney.
Baloney.
Right.
Okay. I've done it.
Yes. So haven't I.
Yeah, and you don't have to be in contact with the person. Other
It's just
than
like
know
doing
them.
a distance
Right.
Reiki. It's the same
It's
idea
the same
that you can do distance
principle.
work. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I used different things, and this last time I did it, my spirit guides moved me to take pictures. They're very photo required
Right.
spirit guides.
Right.
So in this particular case,
They like to strike a pose.
yeah. Actually, they do. After I did this cleansing, I took the residue of the herbs, of the ashes and everything. I put it into an envelope, and I buried it on holy ground.
Yes.
Luckily, we have 2 graveyards on our property.
Right.
So I don't remember if I buried it on the Christian side or
You
the
did.
pagan side.
You buried it
Okay.
on the Christian
All
side.
right.
Yeah,
So-
because explain the graveyards.
Okay, so our graveyards, we have one that is very segregated. Even once they died, they needed to be segregated. we have one graveyard that's for Christian folk, and then we have the other graveyard for everything else.
Everybody else.
Yeah. So it was kind of funny. I buried it on the Christian side, and before I covered up the hole, I took a picture of the envelope in the ground, and it was glowing.
It was neat.
It was glowing a
really
blue-white.
Yes, it was.
And I actually had people, I posted it on Facebook, and people were telling me that I photoshopped it and all of this. And I'm like, no, I have no idea how to Photoshop. So
they give us more credit, huh?
Yeah. It's like, I don't ever Photoshop pictures.
No.
And there's no reason to.
No.
I'm just sharing the
reality.
The reality and the wonder of it.
Yeah, because it is really neat. You have gotten some really amazing pictures. I used to do pictures of orbs all the time. I still do.
Orb pictures.
Yeah, I have some amazing orb pictures here in the shop because I've made cards out of my orb pictures.
I should do that with mine, except they're all bathrooms.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah, all the bathrooms that I remodeled with travertine.
There you go.
Yeah.
No, I've got orbs around grave sites and around people, and I've got some spooky ones that are really cool.
Now that the weather's better, we should do some gravestone rubbing.
We absolutely could with those amazing, really old gravestones, because the house dates back to 1732, where we're at.
Yep. And
we've converted it into this awesome shop.
Yep.
It's about 1,000 square feet just for the shop. Yeah. Yeah, which is really, really neat. So when it comes to protection, I think you really need to have, let's just say, an opened heart that's opened enough.
Right.
You don't need to let everybody in.
Yep.
And everybody's problems. And when I say heart, let's talk about chakra-wise. The heart chakra runs on the front of the body as well as the back of the body. And a lot of times I find when I'm doing energy work on people, the heart chakra on the back is opened much more than it is on the front. And needs to be cleared much more as well.
For backstabbers.
Well, and people present one way to the world and present another way. Yeah, it's kind of neat. So when you're going in and you're trying to protect yourself on a heart chakra level, don't just think the front. And the heart chakra is located right in the center of the chest. Likewise, exact same spot on your back. And that chakra is the color green. So think of that lovely green light that's there. And I do like to have my chakras open because I want them to be able to function and do what they need to do.
Right.
But that being said, I am not going to have my heart open for every person and every problem and everything. Trust me, I got my own problems in plentiful amounts. So, there is something to be said for helping somebody to deal with their own things and not taking it on.
Right.
And that's part of why I don't remember my readings. When I do readings in the Akashic Records, I don't remember them. And that's my form of protection. That's how I protect myself. And I'm protecting my client, because if I don't remember it, everything's anonymous, obviously. I mean, it's anonymous anyways.
Right.
But, I don't remember it, so don't worry about it.
Well, I do if it's the same person comes back and they want an extension on the reading.
They have to remind me of what the reading is.
Then all of a sudden, boom, it's all back.
No, they have to remind me.
Do they?
Very rarely do I remember some of the readings that are like very poignant. Or very, very, very emotional. Like if they come to me for horrendous tragedy. Obviously, those I remember because they're horrendous.
Right.
Yeah. But that's sort of how I do my protection, and protecting myself by setting clear boundaries.
Well, you have to have conviction as well.
Right.
Anytime that you do any energetic work, you really have to have a lot of strong intention and conviction.
Right. And by setting clear boundaries, you're protecting yourself, you're protecting those around you.
Right.
And by saying no is not a bad thing. It's an okay thing.
Right.
So I hope you guys have enjoyed our chat about protection. And I hope there's been some ways that you can use to protect yourselves, your loved ones, your house, your property, whatever it may be. Set that force field around, put those crystals around, use the herbs, use your spray, your smudge sticks, your salt burns, use that salt across the door frame and the windows too. Use all these wonderful, easy ways to do protection. And, we sell a lot of these items here in the shop.
Yep.
So, once again, the website is www.chrisanne-jeff.com. And you can get in touch with us on the website. That's you that answers all the emails through the website, because I don't do email.
That's right.
I know, right. And on Facebook, we're at Elemental Energies with Chrisanne and Jeff. And that's mostly me. I mean, you do step in and help, obviously. But that's mostly me that answers the things there. And on Twitter, at Chrisanne1234 and at MeUcar. So feel free to see what's going on, ask questions if you need to, ask about different topics or suggest topics that you'd like to have on this show or any of our other shows. So we're thrilled for that. So thank you all so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. It's always wonderful to share the hour with you as well.
I enjoy it.
I know, we both do. So thank you all for listening to Elemental Energies with Chrisanne and Jeff. You've been listening on the Pagan Business Network Radio. Be free.